The golf world is absolutely stunned. Brandel Chamblee has finally broken his silence on Bryson DeChambeau's future, and what he said has everyone questioning everything. The Golf Channel analyst, who has been one of LIV Golf's most outspoken critics since the league's inception, just dropped a bombshell during the network's US Open preview call. The distraction of LIV being in flux, and Bryson, from what we can all sort of read between the lines, is that he's trying to figure out a way to come back to the PGA Tour. At least that's what we're hearing through the grapevine, Chamblee revealed. That's right. The man who has been the face of LIV Golf for 4 years, the player who took $125 million to leave, who sued the PGA Tour, who called them obnoxiously greedy, is reportedly eyeing the exit ramp. But here's the twist. Chamblee also revealed why DeChambeau has been struggling in the majors this year. He put so much into LIV, and now it's up in flames, Chamblee said. This is Golfio. For more coverage in golf, subscribe to Golfio and hit the notification bell. The moment came during Golf Channel's US Open preview call on Wednesday, just days before the third major of the year at Shinnecock Hills. The panel was discussing the state of professional golf, the PIF funding withdrawal, the uncertainty surrounding LIV's remaining events, the players caught in the middle. And then Brandel Chamblee, never one to mince words, dropped a revelation that has sent shockwaves through the sport. The distraction of LIV being in flux, and Bryson, from what we can all sort of read between the lines, is that he's trying to figure out a way to come back to the PGA Tour. At least that's what we're hearing through the grapevine, Chamblee said. Let that sink in. The Golf Channel analyst, who has access to sources that most reporters can only dream of, is claiming that Bryson DeChambeau, the two-time US Open champion, the face of LIV Golf, the man who has publicly defended the league at every turn, is quietly looking for a way back. The timing is significant. DeChambeau's LIV contract expires at the end of the 2026 season. The Saudi Public Investment Fund has confirmed it will withdraw financial support after this year. LIV CEO Scott O'Neill wouldn't even guarantee that the final 4 events of the season will take place. The house of cards that DeChambeau helped build is falling apart around him. But here's what makes Chamblee's claim so explosive. DeChambeau has publicly denied any interest in leaving. Just weeks ago, he told reporters that reports of him contacting the PGA Tour were completely untrue. He said he was committed to making teen golf work. He said he had put too much effort into LIV to walk away now. Yet Chamblee is hearing something different through the grapevine, and the golf world is taking notice. Chamblee didn't just drop the bombshell. He explained it, and his explanation cuts to the heart of why DeChambeau has been struggling in the biggest moments. The distraction of LIV being in flux, and Bryson, from what we can all sort of read between the lines, is that he's trying to figure out a way to come back to the PGA Tour. Chamblee repeated for emphasis. Then came the line that perfectly captures the chaos surrounding DeChambeau's career. He put so much into LIV, and now it's up in flames. So there's a lot of doubt as to where he's going to be next year. The evidence is hard to ignore. DeChambeau missed the cut at the Masters in April, a disastrous performance where he needed only a bogey on the 18th to make the weekend and instead made triple. He missed the cut at the PGA Championship at Aronimink, shooting a 6 over 76 in the opening round. For a player who has won 2 US Opens and was once considered the most dominant force in golf, these are not just bad weeks. They are evidence of a player whose focus is fractured. Chamblee drew a parallel to the early days of LIV, when players were deciding whether to defect. Before people went to LIV, when they were considering going to LIV, we saw a number of games just inexplicably fall off, Chamblee noted. And maybe that is the larger point of what's going on with Bryson this year, is that he's completely in a state of flux. The irony is almost too perfect. The same uncertainty that plagued players when they were considering leaving the PGA Tour is now plaguing DeChambeau as he considers coming back. The golf world is watching a full-circle moment unfold in real time. But Chamblee's track record with LIV adds another layer to this story. He has been one of the league's most consistent critics since its inception. He called the June 2023 PGA PIF Framework Agreement one of the saddest days in the history of professional golf. He labeled LIV's format laughable. In April 2026, when shutdown rumors first circulated, he called for LIV to close its doors entirely. So when Chamblee speaks about LIV, some dismiss him as biased. Others see him as vindicated. But regardless of where you stand, his sources are credible. And his claim that DeChambeau is trying to figure out a way to come back is not just speculation, it's reporting. Here's where the story gets even more complicated. Because even if Chamblee is right, even if DeChambeau wants to come back to the PGA Tour, the path is not clear. And DeChambeau has made it very clear that he has options. The first option is the PGA Tour. But that path comes with steep penalties. Brooks Koepka, who returned to the tour earlier this year, had to make a $5 million charitable donation, give up access to FedEx Cup bonus money for 2026, and forfeit sponsor exemptions into signature events. The tour's CEO Brian Rolap has already indicated that any returning player would have to agree to a deal harsher than the one Brooks Koepka agreed to. DeChambeau's response? He called it quite unfortunate considering what I could do for them. The second option is staying with LIV if LIV survives. The league is scrambling to find new investors. Events are being canceled. O'Neill couldn't guarantee the final 4 events of the season would even take place. The PIF has confirmed it will end its funding after 2026. Staying with LIV is a gamble that may leave DeChambeau without a lead to play in. And then there's the third option, the one that DeChambeau has been floating for months. The youth group nuclear option. I'd love to grow my YouTube channel 3 times, maybe even more, DeChambeau told reporters. And then I'd love to play tournaments that want me. His channel currently has over 2.7 million subscribers and has surpassed 500 million total views. He is co-launching Source Golf, a digital network with Grant Horvat and the Bryan brothers, expanding his media empire beyond just his own content. In January, DeChambeau told Front Office Sports that the YouTube-only path was an incredibly viable option. He said he could focus on content creation, play the 4 majors each year, and never have to sign another competitive scorecard. For DeChambeau, the youth group option is not a threat. It's a legitimate business plan, and it's the leverage he's using to negotiate with both the PGA Tour and LIV. Chamblee's most insightful point was about the psychological toll of uncertainty. Being in flux, I think it's hurt a lot of players' games, he said. The evidence is right there in the results. DeChambeau has won twice on LIV this year, back-to-back events in Singapore and South Africa, proving that his game is still there when conditions are right. But in the majors, where the pressure is highest and the stakes are greatest, he has crumbled. At the Masters, he needed a bogey on the 18th to make the cut. He made triple. At the PGA Championship, he opened with a 6/76 and never recovered. The pattern is unmistakable. When the spotlight is brightest, the uncertainty in his professional life bleeds into his performance on the course. Chamblee pointed to a larger trend. When players were considering going to LIV, we saw a number of games just inexplicably fall off, he said. The same phenomenon is now happening in reverse. Players who are considering leaving LIV are struggling with the same doubts. The U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills will be the ultimate test. DeChambeau has won this championship twice, at Winged Foot in 2020 and at Pinehurst in 2024. He knows how to win majors, but can he block out the noise? Can he focus on the task at hand when his entire future is up in the air? The irony is that the same uncertainty that plagued him at Augusta and Aronimink might actually free him at Shinnecock. There's no pressure to perform when expectations are low. And after 2 straight missed cuts, expectations for DeChambeau have never been lower. But low expectations don't guarantee good results, and good results won't solve the underlying problem. DeChambeau still doesn't know where he'll be playing in 2027. He still doesn't know if LIV will exist. He still doesn't know if the PGA Tour will welcome him back, or at what price the state of flux that Chamblee identified is not going away. And until DeChambeau makes a decision, It will continue to haunt his game. So what does Brandel Chamblee breaking his silence really mean for Bryson DeChambeau's future? Let me break down 3 key takeaways. First, Chamblee's sources are credible. He is not a random blogger speculating for clicks. He is Golf Channel's lead analyst with decades of experience and access to people inside the game that most reporters can only dream of. When he says he's hearing through the grapevine that DeChambeau wants to return, it's worth paying attention. But it's also worth noting that Chamblee has never been neutral about LIV. He's called the league laughable. He's called the PGA PIF framework deal one of the saddest days in golf. His opinion is colored by his position. Second, the path back is not clear. DeChambeau sued the PGA Tour. He was one of 11 plaintiffs in the antitrust lawsuit. He called the tour obnoxiously greedy. The tour has a long memory. CEO Brian Rollap has already indicated that any return would come with penalties harsher than what Brooks Koepka accepted. DeChambeau has called those penalties unfortunate, considering what I could do for them. The gap between what the tour wants and what DeChambeau is willing to accept remains wide. Third, the youth group option is real. DeChambeau has 2.7 million subscribers. He's co-launching a digital network. He's hinted that his YouTube earnings are comparable to what he makes playing golf. If the PGA Tour makes returning too expensive, and if LIV collapses, DeChambeau has a third path, and he's not afraid to take it. My final take is this. Brandel Chamblee just broke his silence on Bryson DeChambeau's future. He claims the 2-time US Open champion is trying to figure out a way to come back to the PGA Tour. He says the uncertainty has hurt DeChambeau's game, and the missed cuts at the Masters and PGA Championship prove it. The house of cards that DeChambeau helped build is falling apart. The PIF is pulling its funding. The events are being canceled. The contracts are expiring, and DeChambeau is caught in the middle. Whether he returns to the PGA Tour, stays with a diminished LIV, or becomes a full-time youth group star, one thing is certain. The answer is coming soon, and the golf world will be watching. This is Golfio. If you made it to the end of this video, you care about the real stories behind the game. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the moments that matter. And leave a comment below. Will Bryson DeChambeau return to the PGA Tour? I will see you in the next video. For more coverage in golf, subscribe to Golfio and hit the notification bell.